Everyone, thanks for joining me this morning for another sports video. Thank you guys so much. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That would be awesome. There is a serious crisis in Utah. They better call the 1-800 crisis hotline because there is obviously something going on within the organization. As we know, Quin Snyder has resigned. He will no longer be the head coach of that team. He is out. He won't be out of a job for too long. I think he's just too great of a coach to be out of a job for a long time. But what this tells me is that Quin Snyder has this sense that this team is going into a rebuild. You know, that's probably what led to his sudden departure. That he feels that this team is suddenly gonna undergo a rebuild. I think Donovan Mitchell is very unhappy, even though he really hasn't showed his emotions that much. I think he clearly wants out of Utah. I don't get the impression that, he's found of that organization, that he wants to go somewhere where he can contend and, compete for a championship. It's been a great run for the Utah Jazz. They've gotten to the playoffs, I believe, the last 6 seasons. Even though they get bounced out in the first round every year, it seems they can't seem to get over that hump. They've had talented players like the Donovan Mitchells, the Mike Conleys. They have some great 3-point shooters in Ingles and quality guys that can knock down shots, but they haven't been able to get over the hump in the playoffs. Quin Snyder is a brilliant mind. He really understands the game of basketball, a well-respected coach. But how do we know that their relationship wasn't fractured? How do we know if Donovan Mitchell and Quin Snyder were actually getting along? I'm skeptical because we don't really know what to believe. We don't know what really went down behind closed doors. But what we do know is that Utah's in a world of trouble, and they're going to have to rebuild this organization. I think if there's one player that goes first, though, I think it's Rudy Gobert. Look, Rudy Gobert is not going to give you 20 points or double-digit points. He's not an elite scorer. I'm sorry. He's a great rim protector. He's solid protecting the rim. He's gonna give you some blocks. He's gonna play well defensively some nights, because some nights he take nights off and he doesn't come with that same assertiveness. Some nights he comes off some nights he come off soft, and I think he rubs some of his teammates the wrong way. I think his relationship with Donovan Mitchell is fractured. I don't think those guys, get along. I think they're just teammates. I think they're strictly business, outside of basketball, away from the court. These are not two guys who are going to dinner, who are talking about non-related basketball things off the court. They don't have that type of relationship. At least I don't see it. And a lot of us have noticed that. And I think Donovan Mitchell also gets the sense, he grasps this understanding that Utah's not going to lure free agents to that city. A lot of players and free agents aren't enamored with Utah, and I just think that, Donovan Mitchell wants to change. He wants to change the scenery. He spoke up about Black Lives Matter. He was one of the NBA activists. And I think that kind of rubs some people the wrong way. It's a delicate topic for a lot of people, particularly in the city of Utah. So I just think that Donovan Mitchell definitely wants out. And, it makes me wonder if something was going on between him and Quin Snyder. If there was a rift between the two, because Donovan Mitchell, even though he seems unsettled and unnerved and surprised by Quin Snyder's departure, why haven't he said anything? We haven't heard him say anything about the resignation. We haven't heard him he hasn't broken his silence yet about this whole thing. So that leaves me wondering if these two had a problem with each other, if they couldn't no longer get along, and if, you know, teammates couldn't coexist anymore. That's my worry. That's my concern with it all. But I think Donovan Mitchell wants out. He clearly wants to play somewhere where he knows he has a chance to win a championship. And it's just not going to happen in a city like Utah. Utah is like Portland. I mean, they don't really, get the best free agents. They have to, luck up in the draft to get some decent players and hope they get that superstar player to land with their team and try to build around that superstar player while they have him under contract. But then once the contract expires, that player leaves. Look, Utah hasn't been an attractive city since Karl Malone and John Stockton. That goes way back to the late 90s, the early 2000s. Utah has been in contention because of Quin Snyder. You got to give a lot of credit to Quin Snyder. Quin Snyder is a great basketball coach. And like I said, he won't be out of a job far too long. I mean, he'll find another job in the NBA, even if he has to be an assistant coach. Maybe he'll take a year or two off and then get back into coaching. But he's done a terrific job there. And here's a statistic for you. I'm gonna throw a statistic out here. He has 372 wins, which are the second most in Jazz history. The other coach to do that, the other coach with the most wins, of course, is Jerry Sloan. Rest his soul. But Jerry Sloan was the guy before him that compiled a lot of wins as a head coach. The Utah Jazz have been trying to woo back Quin Snyder to sign the extension, and he unfortunately is not going to stick around. Donovan Mitchell hasn't really backed Quin Snyder again. That's what's really surprising to me. So I mean, I don't know. I really don't know, but I do know this. I do know Donovan Mitchell, even though he hasn't really expressed too much unhappiness and he hasn't really showed frustration, I can say this, and I know I might be speaking for the man, but I think he clearly wants out. I think his days in Utah are over. I think he doesn't have that same competitive spirit that he once had when he was early in his career in Utah. We talked about it. I have lamented over the fact that he doesn't have enough help in Utah. He hasn't gotten, the help that he needs to make that extra push to the NBA Finals. He needs another superstar. He needs another cornerstone piece to play alongside him, and Utah has failed to give him that. Rudy Gobert is not enough. He's not that guy. I'm sorry. You paid him all this money, great. These guys are getting a pile of money, sure, but they don't have that electrifying superstar around Donovan Mitchell. I think Donovan Mitchell is one of the great stars in this league. He just needs some help. He just needs to team up with somebody that can help him get over the hump. And I think he could find that someplace else other than Utah. I'll see you guys later. You guys have a great Tuesday. Have a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much. Please subscribe to the video. Take care of yourselves. I'm out.